Hello coaches, welcome back to another Modern Soccer Coach Breakdown. This week we're going to take a look at the role of the goalkeeper in the attack. Now goalkeepers have been evolving, their technique, their involvement in the build has been evolving over the last 10 years in particular, but are we now at a stage that goalkeepers are being used to solve tactical challenges higher up the pitch when the opposition are in the block? We're going to look at 3 ways that you can do that. If you want the details and the information and to slow it down, you can get it all for free on the link below, modernsoccercoach.com, and when you're there, please check out all the resources we've got there available for coaches. Before we start, please like, please subscribe. Thank you so much for the support. Here we go, goalkeepers in the attack. Okay, we always start these breakdowns off with an objective and why we're looking at this, and the picture that we're seeing quite clearly in the game today is that when opponents are getting organised, and they are getting organised quicker, lower down the pitch in blocks, what is the role of the goalkeeper and why do you need that goalkeeper in particular to be a little bit more active in the build? So there is an element of risk, but do you offset that risk with open up spaces higher up the pitch and increasing your opportunities to score goals and create chances? I think you do. Here's why. So in the typical situation, the opponents are going to drop back. They're probably going to have a 1v2 against your number 9. So they're going to have a numerical advantage at the back. You're going to have a numerical advantage in the build, in the initial build. And then it's a little bit of a stalemate from then on. So if the opponents are more zonal in their block and they can come out and maybe press 1-2 players, it can be really difficult for you to break that down. So we're going to look at 3 ways today when you move the goalkeeper that can offset this zonal block and help you create some chances. Here we go. Okay, so the first idea on the ball and a numerical overload with the 2 centre backs. The goalkeeper progresses up the pitch, 2 centre backs split, roughly 10-15 yard distances between goalkeepers and centre backs. So now the opposition forward, that number 9 on the opposition, has more ground to cover in order to impact the play. Centre backs can penetrate on the dribble, so you can put the centre backs forward in possession, or in this case, in this example, you can manipulate positions higher up the pitch. So with this one, we'll put the full back higher, we'll move the wide forward, the 7-11 on the strong side, we'll move them inside towards those interior spaces. And now with the overload higher up the pitch and then quick ball circulation, the attacking team can unbalance, progress into the final third, and hopefully create a goal scoring opportunity. Okay, for the second one, the goalkeeper now moves up and takes the place of one of the centre backs who moves into a wide position. So again, this creates a host of potential opportunities in the wide spaces. The goalkeeper's almost acting as a traditional centre back in terms of positioning. Now you've got the potential to move those wide forwards and those full backs into advance and again inside spaces. So the ball's progressed and the opponents are overloaded on one side, so the attacking team can now use positioning again to advance possession, create that overload higher up the pitch, and then hopefully unlock those spaces and create another goal scoring opportunity. Okay, third one, and this is my favourite one because it's slightly unorthodox. You've got a similar picture where the goalkeeper is now going to move up. One of the centre backs is going to drop out. Again, the goalkeeper almost becomes a new centre back. Same thing, but in this one, the centre back now inverts inside alongside your number 6, your holding midfielder. So this has the potential, the difference here, to create a central overload, using that advantage to advance the ball straight up the pitch into the final third. And you've got really good numbers in support here, and your positioning is really advantageous to creating goal scoring opportunities. So there's an emphasis here. Quick combination play will be needed because the opponents will likely readjust very quickly to fill those central spaces. Therefore, one-touch combination play will be useful. And although it's an unorthodox idea, the centre back being a little bit higher can also be alongside the number 6 for transitional moments. So you can solve it a little bit different. You can have that weak side fullback drop in as well if the counter attack is happening, so the goalkeeper doesn't have to stay being a centre back, but it does protect you in the initial phase where you could counter press and hopefully delay a potential counter attack. But really good idea in terms of opening up those central spaces and creating goal scoring opportunities. So there you have it, coaches, just some ideas around ways that you can build and attack and beat the block and create overloads either in wide areas or centrally. Now, probably the big question mark over all this here will be the appetite for risk. We'll be like, well, we don't want our goalkeeper higher up the pitch and doing that there, or, well, that's a little bit uncomfortable in terms of our shape and working through that. Now, obviously, you need the dynamic of having time and space on the ball. So if they're pressing with a front two or aggressively with a front three, it's probably not going to happen. But a lot of teams will, again, drop back, put their 7s, 11s in that block with their midfielders and press with one. And if you've got one and you've got that overload at the stage with the centre backs, then you're going to have that time to manipulate positions. Then the risk decreases slightly, but then there's always an element of risk. The question I think that's healthy is what you're prepared to give up. And we talk about giving up things defensively in terms of space. We're going to press high and give up that space. We're going to drop off and give up the space in front. But maybe we need to ask questions about space when it comes to attack, or maybe we need to ask questions with risk when it comes to attack. What are we prepared to give up? Are we going to sit and have a structure underneath the ball so we don't get countered upon? Great, you won't concede a lot of goals. I get that. But does that offset your ability to create chances? And that's something that I think is healthy for coaches. I think it's positive to think about that way, because there's no such thing as a great attacking system. There's no such thing as a great defensive system. It's all about context. Things work in relation to other aspects of the games, the variables. Understanding those variables, I think, is very, very important, and being comfortable in communicating them and being comfortable and skillfully how you set that up. I think there's a fun element to that there as well. So I would encourage people to have these conversations with the staff. What if we did this? What do you think about that? Maybe you use them at different times, maybe you use them at training, but if you're implementing these things on the training pitch, then surely you're in a better position to gather information around risk, rather than, as a lot of times as coaches, we just sit there and say, that can't work because of this, this, or this. And again, I think that binary thinking doesn't really improve you or develop you as a coach. And then all of a sudden, innovation, creativity goes out of the team because the leader isn't really prepared to take on new ideas. So I'm not saying that I've just presented you with 3 ideas to go and win games against the block, but I think if you're dismissive of those ideas, maybe then it's a time for a conversation and say, okay, well, then what really are you prepared to give up? And then that can lead to maybe another conversation around risk and about your game model. So I hope you enjoy that. As always, let me know your thoughts. Before you go today, please, please, please give it a like. Please make sure you subscribe. Got some great interviews coming up, so you don't want to miss them. Thank you so much for the support. If you want the information, modernsoccercoach.com. Thanks again. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.